A hero, a sword, and the challenges that protect it. I'm JadetheWillow, and I will be building up this area to hide a magical sword and creating challenges that test your heroic knightly skills. By the end, we will have gone on a building adventure and gained a sword to defeat any evil. So this is the area we're working with, a sort of hidden grotto in the cliffside. We'll fix up the entry to the grotto later. I have a really cool idea and interesting idea for it that I'm super excited about. It has to do with visual storytelling, but I don't want to spoil too much yet. The first thing we're going to build are some rock stepping stones. When you enter the grotto, you will see these rocks. It will be the most obvious way forward, and they won't appear to be any challenges. You will just see a sword at the end, which is in an invisible item frame, and it's just sitting out in the open. This is a worthless sword. It has no special powers, and it's an iron sword, so it's, fine, but not the exciting magical sword the legend tells of. Behind this sword will be this. It connects to a contraption, and when the sword is removed from the item frame, it will make the redstone torch live again, and it will trigger a trap. So there will be areas around the grotto that hold water, and they will open up if the sword is removed. If our adventurer goes for the easy option and doesn't bother to look around at their surroundings, then this will flood the cave, hiding the true sword forever. Unless they put the sword back, which will cut off the water flow again. It'll be kind of like how you're not supposed to touch anything in the Cave of Wonders except the lamp in Aladdin. But before I can put all of the hidden waterfalls in, I need to decorate this cave so that I know where the water should go. Plus, it's just a little boring to look at now, honestly. So I knew I wanted the area to feel like moss and greenery were growing everywhere, and that it was a somewhat humid environment. I also knew that I wanted a very green and blue color scheme, so I started by creating mossy patches on the walls and then filling things in. In order to achieve the feeling of a lush environment, I needed lots of green, and I wanted lots of hanging plants. So I kind of went in stages. As I continued to build, I kept adding more and more, and I of course had to use glowberries and glow lichen because they look nice and provide light, which was very important because it was very dark in here. Light was a bit of a challenge for the whole project, but I got it worked out in the end. One thing that really helped were these sort of fantasy vines. I'm really happy with these. They're not too strange and alien, but they're just something a little different and interesting than what you might normally see. Okay, we have our waterfall locations, and I worked with redstone and command blocks, which are hidden under this rock, to create this mechanism which releases the water. Ta-da! Isn't it so cool? So if a person comes to take the sword and goes for the easiest, obvious option, it triggers this trap, which opens the water spouts, which will fill the cavern. Now, obviously, Minecraft water doesn't work like that. I had also originally planned to have command blocks fill the cavern with water a few, Y coordinates at a time, but I'm not so sure because it'll get rid of all of the grass and might mess with some of the challenges that I'm going to build in a moment. And I just think it would mess with things too much. So we're just going to pretend that the cave will fill up with water. But I think the waterfalls, especially if I add a few more, will still give that same high stakes feel to it. And then this way, the hero adventurer is given a second chance if they make a mistake, and they can put the sword back and everything will go back to normal. I do think I need to decorate the water spouts a little bit more though. I don't think I want to do a gargoyle sort of situation because it would be weird to place little animals or monsters around the place when that doesn't relate to anything else in the area. But moving on for now. Our challenges. So each challenge is going to represent a quality that would be important for a hero. So I've designed 4 challenges that connects to these traits or virtues, if you want to call them that. And I'm just going off of a very stereotypical knight in shining armor kind of a feel. So there's going to be a smaller side path of rocks that's less obvious that leads you towards the first challenge. For it, you'll have to take a leap of faith in a test of courage. It's going to be a sort of very simple parkour challenge that starts with jumping into a dark hole, something that I would never do in real life, and then you'll have to work your way back up through a tunnel and into the grotto. It's going to be a little boring to watch me build, I think, so we're just going to jump ahead and see the completed first challenge. So here's the entrance, sort of an ominous doorway with 2 signs, one to say what you need to do and one to say what it's for. Then you jump down. It's not actually that far, but I kind of used a gray gradient, so it's dark at the bottom. Once you're down, you'll need to find your way out of the darkness, and you'll end up in front of this little rock climbing wall, and you need to find your way to the top. I placed the warp roots to kind of show you the way up. Then once you make it to the top, you have to climb over this wall. And when you jump on this block, you'll step on a pressure plate, which using a command block will give you a stick. This then might clue you in that you need to build the magic sword. You're not just finding it. So then you come down these stairs to the second challenge. The second challenge tests your attention to detail and your patience. I'm going to build this little water pocket so that the top and the bottom is identical, except for one spot. It was a little tricky trying to come up with things to fill the space. I wanted it to be chaotic, but I need things that can be waterlogged, and if I put anything on the floor, it also has to be able to hang from the ceiling, which kind of limits us a bit. Here's the final result. Not too bad. You can just kind of float around here for a bit until you find what you're looking for. Did you see the spot that is different between the top and the bottom? I tried not to show the camera on it too, obviously, but anyway, when you place the block in the right space, it will open a little spot under this shulker box, which has all of the possible blocks for you to use, and it will reveal a cyan shulker box with a netherite ingot. That's right, we're doing a netherite sword here. So I have an idea for the entrance of the cove that I hinted at in the beginning of the video, and I'm really excited about, and we're going to work on that now. Take a break from the challenges. Okay, so here's the size that we're working with here. So I want to do a sort of mosaic storyboard. On one side, I want 4 big panels that show a monster on the land, a hero fighting the monster with a sword, and then the hero and the wizard in the grotto, and then the sword in a sort of halo of light. And then on the opposite side of the cavern entrance area, I want it to depict our 4 challenges. And I think it's a really cool way to tie in the story with the build, because a lot of the times I know it in my brain, but if you were just to approach the thing, you'd have no idea about all of this history and lore that's in there. So I think this will be really fun, and it's an idea I'd really like to bring into more of my builds. This is what I have so far. It's not quite the fantastic vision I had in my head, but if I tell you what it is, then I hope you can follow along and kind of see it. The first panel has a landscape with a dark shadow monster. You can kind of see its glowing red eyes in the center, and then you can see the sky and the hills. And the second panel has a hero holding a sword, though I should change it to netherite, and they are fighting the monster. You can still see one glowing red eye to kind of connect it to the first panel, and it's the same landscape, but I changed the time of day. There we're finished off with our first 4, 2 on each side. It just gives me a little bit of an idea of what we're going for. Now, you may be wondering about the story that the panels are telling. Long ago, a sword was used to defeat a great enemy, but fearing the power it possessed, the hero hid it away with the help of a wizard in training. They placed it in a hidden grove in order to ensure it wasn't found except by a worthy warrior. Enchantments and traps were placed around it to keep it safe. Legend says that only someone who is brave and true can reclaim it, but legend also warns of a danger if the sword is taken by those with unworthy intent. So it's a little hard to see exactly what the blocks mean because they represent a pretty big area and a pretty small canvas. But for example, when I was showing the cave wall, I have these 2 grays, and then I have horizontal light greens for mossy patches, and then these darker green with cyan vertical pieces that represent the fantasy vines. Let's finish it off. I honestly love these so much, even though they're not perfectly what I had imagined, but I really, like I said, I do want to use this idea in the future, maybe with a bigger canvas to work on. And once you've been through the challenges, then these panels will make more sense. But speaking of, let's go finish those last 2 challenges. So once you're done with the second challenge, you'll walk along this path under the fun vines and arrive at this lever puzzle. So I hid the puzzle a little farther back in the rock so it wasn't quite so obvious when you're looking at the false sword in the middle. This challenge tests your perseverance and cleverness. Here is the riddle you need to solve in order to pass through the door. Once you think you know what it is, you need to find the correct letters that spell it out from the options. So the letters might help you figure out what the answer is. I personally am not good at rearranging letters in my mind. Builds? Yes. Words? No. Once all of the correct letters are down, it opens this door, and you'll walk through it and you'll get your next netherite ingot. Now, I will show you some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. If you do this backwards, it is designed to start with the bravery challenge and continue along this way, but it is very possible that you could start the challenge anywhere. So if you happen to come through the back way, then you would think that you would just get your nether ingot without having to solve the puzzle, but that is not true. So when the door is open, then there is a command block that keeps this space in front of the shulker box open. I just have to reset it one moment. But when the door is closed, there will be a block here, so that the only way to the ingot is to complete the riddle puzzle. Alright, so let's just say you've completed it and you have your ingot, then you'll go through this door and into this little cave, and look! There's a little friend! And we have a jukebox and a warped sign, which we've been using for our good challenges, which is why I chose the cyan box back there, because the color matches. And it says it's lonely in here, so this is the fourth and final challenge, and you already have everything you need to make a powerful sword. But this challenge is designed to test if you're willing to stop what you're doing to help someone, even though you already have everything you need, and it seems like there could be no gain for you. So you have this shulker box with the discs and the amethyst shard in it so that you can duplicate the allay. And there's this mysterious area over here near the exit. So if you duplicate the allay, which you don't technically have to do, you just need to play something in the jukebox, then it will open this doorway over here, which will bring you into this tiny library that has different enchantments for you to put on your sword. I don't know why this barrel is here. Oh, that's right, because it's for bottles of enchanting, which are actually here. So that way you can enchant your sword. I almost forgot that part. There should be plenty of experience. Once you follow the path out, this will lead you to your last area. I'm going to decorate a little bit, I think, so hold on one second. And that's your sword crafting setup. If you seek the sword, you must first prove that you were able to look past the obvious to see the right path, and then complete challenges that test your knightly abilities so that you can craft your own sword. The hero that hid the magical sword with the help of the wizard in training never needed it again in their lifetime, but when they got older, they created the mosaics to record their story, and the sword has been left undisturbed ever since, waiting for when a hero needs it once again.